Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet. Unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show today. We have a great show for you today, as usual. But of course, who comes first, folks? It comes to you. But anyway, let me tell you first a little story today. As you guys know, I'm in Washington, D.C., and this morning we woke up. And what did we wake up to? A snowstorm. And you know, this Texas boy doesn't see this quite often. In fact, he never sees the amount of snow that he saw today. And I just went out there and had some fun. Took my daughter we had to drive through the storm. Everybody stayed home. Most of the people stayed home, right? But we drove through the snow to get her therapy. You know, they called several times. Ashley, are you going to be coming in for therapy? Because a lot of people are canceling, but you know what? She wants her therapy. She got her therapy. So we went out there and we took pictures as we crossed in the snow and all that good stuff. Folks, it is a wonderful winter wonderland out here. I mean, it looks to me like about a foot of snow or something like that. I don't know what it is. This is not my kind of thing, but we had a snowy day. But anyhow, let's go ahead and get busy. Welcome aboard. AVQ is the first one that's listed in there. But for those others that are there, come make yourself known. We want to talk to you. We want you to partake and be a part of the conversation. So let's go ahead and get busy, folks. As I'm speaking here, I am queuing up a few other things. So bear with me as I queue. Bear with me as I queue, because that is what we do. That is what we do. Anyhow, here we go. Here we go. If you are on YouTube right now, give us that thumbs up. We want to have that thumbs up. Let's see. Should I repeat them? No. I have everything up. I got all your postings, my brother. I have all your postings ready to go. E2247, welcome aboard. Anyhow, let's get busy. Trump and his children refuse to be deposed in tax dodging investigation. The New York AG quietly subpoenaed former President Donald Trump, Don Jr., and Ivanka in December to force them to testify. They all resisted. What do you expect? Now they are fighting in court. If it were anyone else, they'd have already been arrested for contempt of court. These guys are thugs that belong, you know exactly where. Michael Rodden also writes, in 2022, let's tax the rich. 10 billionaires added $402 billion to your fortunes in 2021. Wealth inequality escalated during the pandemic. While most of the world suffered, the wealthy took advantage of the public health crisis to line their pockets. Like I always say, a large percentage of billionaires are psychopaths. And I don't say that lightly. They are psychopaths. Anybody who knows they just needs unlimited amount of money they could never possibly spend. And they're out there trying to get more and more and more. They are psychopaths. All right, Michael Renner also put out there, patriotic millionaires tweeted, history paints a bleak picture of what happens to extremely unequal societies. We know what, take a look at France and a lot of other places, especially when they reach inequalities at our level. For the well-being of rich and poor alike, it's time to confront inequality and choose to tax the rich. If you don't, then all the talk at Davos won't change what's coming. It's taxes or pitchforks. I wrote several articles about that several years ago. We're still waiting for the pitchforks to develop, and they're coming. Enough is enough. Outrage as Big Pharma celebrates 2022 by hiking prices on 442 drugs. Big Pharma is price gouging well above inflation rates, while tens of millions of Americans struggle with paying for necessary prescription drugs, as we in the US pay double to quadruple what the rest of the first world does for healthcare, yet are getting poorer outcomes. Build Back Better had price control provisions to curtail such greed and suffering, but it's being blocked by Joe Manchin and the obstructionist Republicans, even as supermajority of Americans want this legislation to go through. It is time, folks. It is time. It is time. It is time. We have to educate people. We have to take the lies away from them. We have to let them forget about. I was on Daily Kos yesterday, and even on Daily Kos, we have liberals talking about there are certain things the government do better than the private sector, and I'm not going to argue with the concept in general, because if I don't want the federal government running a pizza shop at all. I want individuals running a whole ton of pizza shops out there with different things to offer, etc. But healthcare ain't one of them, folks. And we have to teach people that healthcare in the for-profit sector, in that regards, profit is an expense, and an expense on whom? An expense on you. All right. Happy 2022. It's nice seeing you again after about a week from politics. So, Egberto, what are you looking forward to this year? For me, it's the slim chance of seeing a naked eye supernova, as a binary stellar pair might collide and explode, creating the third brightest object in the sky after the sun and the moon. You would come up with something like that. I hope you know one thing, Brother Rudnin. When you see that exploding star, remember that has occurred several billion years ago, and you're just seeing it today. But hey, we love it. Hey, you would love that. Let me tell you what I see in the future, or what I want. My goal is to keep doing politics done right. My goal, my aspiration is that slowly we start to build geometric progression on all Americans, so that we finally take control of this country away from those who would do it harm with income inequality, wealth disparity. And you know what's interesting? In order to maintain their income inequality, what they do is they put us against each other. So my goal is to make sure that as we promote the truth, we don't disparage those that have been hoodwinked. As we promote the truth, we give others a place to land. We give others that opportunity to say, okay, I see the light, without having to feel I've been conned, I'm embarrassed, so I'm going to hold on to my conned position. I want people to know that we're welcoming everybody into the big tribe, to say, folks, we are going to do it together. Left, right, anarchists, whatever you may be, they're all the small, tiny amount. They're all using us. And I hope we realize that. E224 Berto, thanks for using fact-checking efforts to reduce proliferation of fake news, resting on assumptions that folk want to believe and share true information, but need to weed out falsehood. Exactly. Paul Fleming, my brother, checking in. Welcome aboard, Paul. BP Alpha, can we shoot for global utopia rather than just America? You know what? When I say let's make America utopia, brother, if America becomes utopia, the world becomes utopia, because it would be on policies beneficial to the entire world. E2247 says, some psychologists believe that reasoning didn't develop to always point people to rational answers. Since prehistoric times, reasoning may have developed as a tool that supports the group dynamics that are necessary for life and livelihood. And the group dynamics ultimately, though, is the right answer, right? If most of the groups happy doesn't mean that which makes the super rich happy, which is having a lot of material things. Happy could simply be how the nomads used to live. Happy could be how the Indians, the natives used to. I mean, people think that because we have microprocessors or whatever, we're so much more advanced. We need microprocessors and so forth because that's what we've learned to make us happy. But if sitting under the stars and having and breaking bread at a fire is something that makes us happy, what else is there to life? I love these computers. I love it. That's what I've learned to love. But is it the only thing? It's not. Money is no form of wealth. Peace is prosperity. Agreed. B Alpha E2247 says, sharing of false news has less to do with ignorance than with partisan political affiliation and the news available. But the partisanship only makes sense. Only makes sense if there's a result. Daniel says, yes, y'all, bring out your pitchforks and take care of those evil psychopaths. LOL. Paul Fleming says, I can't wait for my mugs to arrive. And when you get your mugs, brother, please take that picture like I have with the other folks so that we can plaster you right there on the screen as a proud supporter of Politics Done Right, a program that belongs to us all. AVQ says, Daniel, when the people come out with the millions, things again change every time. Peggy Lopez says, hi all. Alberto, contact binary KIC 9832247 that has a slim chance of going red nova this year. Is just a little bit under 2,000 light years away. It's in our galaxy. I didn't know that, Michael. Thank you for the information. Let's see. Democrats and Republicans both search for materials with which to denigrate their political opponent. I agree with that. We need to stop it. Sherry Sexton Ledo, global utopia. Yes, workers of the world, unite. Sherry Sexton Ledo, I love you, girl. That is what we want. The duck that quacks says, Devin Nunes officially resigns. $2 billion, a Trumpolini poop bullhorn. Still a great day for Congress. I don't understand that. Let's see. The duck that quacks also says, Twitter account can. Yes, I know. MG take or Twitter account get can. Peggy Lopez says, whitetail deer tested, 87% found with COVID. Really? Wow. I didn't know that. May be getting into their drinking water through wastewater treating plants. We test effluent from some diseases, may have to add COVID. You know, I never thought about that, Peggy. That does make sense. MTG, yeah. Mary, what's her middle name? I forgot what it is. Anyhow, folks, we have a great interview for you today. The fraud that occurred to us with Build Back Better. We're going to play that, and then we will be right back. En la hola, my friends. Here's Marlon Weems. Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. Today we have a repeat guest, Marlon Weems, aka the Journeyman at Medium.com, a man who spent 30 years in finance, 10 of those on Wall Street. Global investment banks subsequently hired him to help them decipher developments in the financial and socio-economic landscape. Marlon points out that mainstream news rarely drills down enough to give a true picture of what's happening, let alone it all means that henceforth the need for writers like the Journeyman is of utmost importance at this time. I am honored once again. Marlon Weems, welcome to Politics Done Right.
Hello again. Thanks for having me, Egberto.
Well, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, and I've been wanting to talk to you for several weeks now, but with the holidays and so forth, it was a little bit difficult to get all the things scheduled appropriately. Now, you worked in finance. You worked in the bowels of capitalism, where our work and worth has been traded in the form of stocks. Build Back Better is not complete. Build Back Better, the policies that progressives and the president have been attempting to pass, has a lot needed, but it offered quite a bit. Many thought that we had an agreement that if we gave people that hardware, that capital within the hard infrastructure that we were speaking about, that somehow we would have people say, you know what, we've been given capital for so long. Why not at this time look at humans as capital need and tender as well? Please tell me your thoughts on that.
I'm going to probably date myself age-wise a little bit, but I grew up reading Charlie Brown, and you know the classic scene is Lucy with the football, and you could see this coming a mile away. And I have to say, I really, up until now, have been, if not a fan of Nancy Pelosi in terms of strategy and, you know, sort of getting it right. This was one that I was really surprised to see her maybe, you know, just sort of have a misstep, because you could just see that there's, I mean, we point at Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema over in the Senate, but, you know, there's that little group of what are called moderate Democrats. You know, it's to me a loose term, but this was going to happen from the beginning. And I think by and large, the progressives knew that. But when the president comes to you and says, I got this, you got to listen to the president, I think. And so I understood why, they didn't just block the bills. Because think about it, had they shut everything down in the House, then, all the guns would have been turned on the squad and so forth. So, they tried to go the party line, and look where we are. And it's, to me, it's really sad. I mean, because there was a lot, just think of where we would be right now had that passed, a few weeks ago. I just think the trajectory for Democrats in the midterms would be a whole lot different. And, I got a lot of feelings about this. I was very disappointed.
Let me ask you in this way, because, I am tired of blaming Republicans. Republicans are going to do what Republicans do, period. Mm-hmm. They care nothing more than about capital, Now, my contention is that the Democratic Party, yes, it's where progressives reside right now, but that too often there are enough tentacles from the plutocracy, from the oligarchy, from the corporatocracy in the Democratic Party, meaning the mansions, meaning even the senator from California, what's her name? Weinstein? I forgot her name.
No, Dianne Feinstein. Feinstein.
Even Feinstein, even with her not wanting to get rid of the filibuster and protecting the flanks of the corporatocracy, we do have some as well that seem to forgot who owns or who elected them. So at this point, I am not willing to blame the Republicans for anything. They'll do what they do. I remember back in the Obamacare days when we fought first we wanted Medicare for all. The votes, we had 60 votes, a veto-proof majority in the Senate. We couldn't get Medicare for all. We said, okay, we progressives will just give in. Give us the public option or else. We can't give in, but we need a public option just to prove to the American people that the public sector is better for healthcare than the private sector. We absolutely knew that the public option would have degraded the private portion of the thing, and we would coalesce into a Medicare for all by design and saved Americans money and saved American lives. Again, it wasn't the Republicans that stopped that, it was the Democrats. Now we go further now into Build Back Better, and we can talk till kingdom come. We decided to pass one using regular order and the other one using what's known as
reconciliation.
Okay, we decided to do that. Fine. Who's stopping that again? It's not Republicans. It's Democrats. So my contention is we are satisfied, many in the Democratic Party, not a lot, or maybe not the majority, but many in the Republican Party are okay with having a sect of our population, meaning the poor and the left behind remain poor and left behind, because all these policies that are the ones left behind are the ones that satisfy building those others back. Why is that the case, Mr. Weems?
Well, I think you've really you've articulated it, because you look at a Joe Manchin, for example. You take away Alabama and Mississippi, West Virginia is, if not at the bottom, and we're talking about education, infrastructure, jobs, healthcare, exactly. So his behavior does not indicate to me that, he's not doing this, out of some obligation to his constituents, right? And so you take a guy like that, and it's pretty blatant, really. You got a guy with a yacht and a Maserati talking about not wanting people to, the entitlement thing, right? And so, I think, as you said, you've got a lot of so-called moderate Democrats that are hiding behind Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema that have very similar opinions about who gets to progress and who gets to benefit in this economy, in this country. And so I just think until we get more people that are of a progressive mindset, we're always going to run up against this. And it's like you said, it's not the Republicans that are stopping us on voting rights. It's not the Republicans stopping us on Build Back Better, which includes everything from healthcare to climate change. I actually wrote an article a few months ago, and I found a quote from Manchin that was so, just objectively false. He was actually in one of these scrums that they have with reporters. He actually made the comment that, he's kind of looked at this bill, and his concern is, they're talking about getting rid of fossil fuels, and that's not going to help climate change. And I'm like, what scientist is he talking to, right? So, as I said, he is really, I think, emblematic of what Democrats do to each other. And I don't know how we go back to the same people who got us where we are now in terms of the voters. How do you get folks excited now? Put more guys in. Do you know what I'm saying, though? How do you get them excited to show up at the polls, notwithstanding the, just voter suppression that they're going to have to deal with anyway?
That is an interesting scenario, right? And I've been trying to answer that myself. And I don't know that I have the best answer for it, but I want to pass something by you because I don't think, I don't think it is fruitful for us to talk about how do we get them to vote again. What I think is fruitful is demanding or asking them to vote again and support in the primaries those people that actually showed that they wanted to push this stuff. And in other words, I want to tell them, I don't want to tell them to be depressed. I don't want to tell them to not care anymore because things are not going to change. I want to tell them that they have to be the change agents, but that they have to build new alliances. And this is where I want to talk to you about how do we convince people. I wrote a book a few months ago called It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors. My contention really is that a lot of those people that we call right-wingers, a lot of those people that marched on January 6th, they don't know what the hell they were marching about. Okay, they don't know how they're being hurt. And a lot of people say racism. And let me tell you something. I don't care who loves me. I don't care who hates me because of my hue. I don't. But I do care that that person allows themselves to be hurt by a political system that is snowing them, because by them getting hurt, it also means you get hurt and I get hurt.
Sure.
So my contention then is not to demean the folk. My contention is make them an ally. And in that respect, I've had this new way of speaking, and I think I've talked to you beforehand on it, where I try to let folks understand that, yes, I know that in a lot of these issues, the Republicans use the racist trope to have their people vote against their own interests. I want to use that racist trope against them. I want to let their people realize that their folks are now making them slaves, what I call antiseptic slavery. And the way that I've started to hone in on that, and I need help from everybody else, right? We need help from everybody else to tell the story. You are one who can even make it in the capitalist model because of where you worked. You understand that the capitalization of our excess labor is what makes a lot of people rich and us poor. When it was that the slave owner used Black folks, indigenous and others as slaves, they had to invest in their capital. They had to invest in their slaves. Their slaves were their...
Well, the slaves were property, so, yeah.
Go ahead.
It was like, I'm sorry, it was, for them, just like, taking care of a tractor,
Right.
and what people generally don't think, I think it probably more now than in the past, is that, it wasn't just the plantation owner that was part of the financial chain there. You got insurance companies up in New York that benefited, shipping companies benefited. I mean, it was the foundation of the economy, which, because of, just the awareness in 1619 Project and some other writings, I think people are maybe more aware now than they were. But, just to kind of go back to something you started off with in terms of, the people on the other side, right wing, if you will, that, I live in North Carolina, but I live in one of the more, I can't use the word liberal, so I'll say less MAGA areas of the state. But even so, when the election was coming, so this time last year, one of my neighbors has a 50-foot flagpole with a Trump flag flying. But when Trump lost, I haven't seen it since. So, he's on that, he's not so crazy that he doesn't accept that Trump lost. On the other side, just across the street, and again, the reason I bring this guy up is we're very friendly. So what should I don't know if this is where you were going with this, but I don't know how much good it does for me to, be angry with this guy because he flew a Trump flag, when we can have a civilized conversation.
Exactly.
Generally, right? Across the street from me, there's a couple, and it really perplexes me because the man, I would say they're maybe in their early 70s. They, the husband is, I guess, was born here, but his parents are from Italy. So, these are not like, guys that came up, not hillbillies by any stretch of the imagination. Christmas rolled around, they brought us some homemade wine. I mean, they're nice people. And they have like this gigantic "Let's Go Brandon" sign, or flag rather, flying off of their deck. And you're just going, what the heck? What do I do with that? Because now, are they unaware of the total connotation of that? Do they just think it's funny? I don't know. But honestly,
and I want to interrupt you there for 1 second.
No, go ahead.
Because I think you answered it. They are unaware. People say, well, not really, they're just racist. It's not just racist. I mean, I had a couple of people discussing race, including Allison a few days ago,
sure,
discussing race and sort of making a point between racism and prejudice or whatever. What you've proven, I think, when you mentioned they bring you wine and that sort of stuff, is that they see you in a different light than you
exactly
see you, right? In other words, you are there, you earned your way there where you're living right now, and somehow you may not be like the others because they don't understand the things that we have all learned, let's say from the 1619 Project, from redlining, from all those things. They don't understand how it made it, and they don't understand that those that have made it outside of that system did it above and beyond the average person. Had you been white.
Well, and just to jump in, another thing, I don't think they understand or they have a concept. And part of it is because I may be, in the case that I just laid out, the only Black person they interact with. Right. Most of these people don't have, like we have, we may have several white friends that we interact with at work, and we've had to, figure out how to navigate all of that, right? They have never really had to do that because right, everyone they're around, with the exception of maybe me, is just like them or looks just like them. Right. And so they don't really have a grasp for, even though I live in your neighborhood and you think I'm a good Black, mm-hmm, they don't know that on any given day, the same racism can hit me right between the eyes that could hit any person that you see on television that's been shot by the police or any number of bad outcomes. They just don't realize that could happen to me.
And henceforth, and I spoke a little bit to Allison about this and to a few other people, not only in woke, but in other places. And henceforth, the job that we have as with platforms, I still have the contention that most people are good, right? I also have the contention that it is the system which have created, and if you listen to, there's a woman who talks about racism all of the time, and she talks about there's not a race. There's just the only thing is the human race, and she's right. And she explains a whole lot of these issues. I can't remember her name right now, but when I do, I'll put it out probably with this article. But it's important to, and again, I am not saying there aren't those people that don't want to be schooled. They are staunch racists.
Sure.
They want to hold power, and that doesn't only happen because of pigmentation. Those are the same people who naturally want to hold power over women, hold power over, hold dominion over others, right? But as humans, I think when one explains the commonality, when one explains that it is a system that is enslaving their minds, and with that enslaving them as a whole from a financial standpoint as well, I think it's easier then to make the case, which is one of the reasons I like talking to you and others. And when I say talking to you, I mean somebody who knows, who unapologetically know who they are, and it's not scared to confront all sides. Because at times we have
Hey, Berto, I'm too old to be scared anymore. Because at a certain point, it's like, what are you waiting on, right? What are you waiting on? And I mean, honestly, when I first began writing, you have a little bit of, consternation or what's the term?
Hesitancy.
Yeah. And so, but I've gotten over all of that. And it's interesting with my Substack, The Journeyman. I actually have, to my surprise, 2 or 3 paid subscribers, a couple that I know from, my previous life in New York. I know they don't agree with me, but they still want to hear what I have to say because, from their point of view, it's, I make a good argument. Whether they agree with it or not, they sort of like the way that I approach, whatever the particular angle is that, on a given day. And so, why hold back?
Yeah, I like what you said, because believe it or not, on Politics Done Right, I have what we call the PDR Posse, which is a group of a whole bunch of people that, if you take a look at our subscription page, you see that we have hundreds of people that support the program. And it's interesting. And I've just started building a Substack base. Like you have a good Substack base. I'm started to build a Substack base and a Medium base, and I've already had my own personal base as well. But it's interesting that a lot of the supporters, a lot of the viewers are actually right-wingers. Some of them utterly disagree. Others want to have an exchange. Sometimes they change their mind. Sometimes they say what if, but, or whatever, but they're there. And ironically, one of my highest paid subscribers is a right-winger. And he doesn't.
I understand. One of my very first, and I was shocked. It was a gentleman that I worked with. He had been, I think, previously an analyst at the Fed. So you can imagine,
yes,
his conservative leanings, from that, that angle. And he was one of the first guys to, to pay up. And I was like, are you sure? Are you sure you've read what I'm writing? And, that actually does, though. It kind of gives you a boost in the sense that, you get a certain amount of validation, I guess, from, I think too, it makes it, I think it enhances your ability to have a discussion.
Absolutely. So I think what is important is when you make that cross, that cross, I don't want to call it a crossover, because there's still a large percentage of those on the right that won't listen to you. But when you develop a rapport with some on the right, I think what happens then is they bring others with them. And even if they don't bring them to you, they bring a lot of the smoothing, if you will, of thought to others as well. So I think that is important, that there are people like yourself, what we do here at Politics Done Right, to make sure that we keep every single person included. We want everybody included, because I think the way to get around the portion of the Democratic Party that continues to screw us all is to get a piece of the Republican base to help us bring the right folks into the fold to do the right thing. Now, we're running up on time here. I always enjoy the discussion with you, Marlon. Give me a closer so that we can end this thing, but I really enjoyed what you had to say today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. In terms of closing, I guess things that I am looking at in the new year, the January 6th committee, I just am keeping my fingers crossed that, that they'll have some public hearings and put some things out there to really make people aware, because as we were talking about earlier, I think that a lot of people, they know the buzzword January 6th, but I just don't think a lot of the country is really focused in on just how close we came. So that's certainly one thing. And then the other would be voting rights, because quite frankly, if we don't address that, and there's really no mystery about what needs to be done. And I'm hoping against hope that Democrats will do the right thing there, because if they don't, I shudder to think where we end up.
And a message to the voters for 2022?
A message to the voters, well, it's sort of like you said earlier, don't give up hope. I'm certainly going to vote as many times as I can. No, seriously though, I'm going to vote. My daughter just turned 18. She's excited to be able to vote for the first time. And, a lot of people bled and died for us to be able to hold this thing together. And one of the things that, one of my biggest takeaways, we're in Woke having a readers group that's reading through the 1619 book that just came out. And one of my big takeaways is that, Americans historically, or African Americans, I should say, have been the most American in the sense that we've believed when, all the evidence was against us, and we've hung in there and fought for this country, to deliver. And so I think that's kind of a moment where we are now.
Marlon Weems, AKA The Journeyman. Check him out at Substack. Check him out at Medium. This man knows of which he writes. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics.
Thank you again for having me. Talk to you soon.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. But before I have a lot of comments that you guys have there. I'm going to get to each one of them. In fact, you guys, I'm not going to do our other video because I think your comments are more prescient, more important than the video that I have. I'll do the next video tomorrow. Let's go ahead, first of all, and do my ask. I think I better remember that, because it's that time of the year and we need to make sure that we are funded. So folks, please go ahead. If you are capable at all and you are on YouTube right now, I ask you so kindly to click on that join button and become a member. It's very inexpensive and you support something big and important, not just me. You're supporting the project. You're supporting what we are all doing together as far as getting the progressive message out, the message of empowering people. Please click that join button and become a part of our posse. There is no doubt that your contributions make a huge difference in what we can do, in how we can promote the message. We cannot do it without you. It takes a lot, a whole lot. If you are on some other network other than YouTube, please consider support. By the way, if you're on YouTube as well, you can give us a super chat. There are a lot of ways that you can support us, one time or monthly or however you think best to support the projects that we do. You can also go ahead and go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, to go ahead and add that support very much. You can also, let's see, if I give you $5, will you go buy a razor? Or you're saying, I need to shave. You know, actually, let me tell you why I held off the shave. I just want to tell you that. Here we go. My wife gave me this for Christmas, and I wanted to get enough here to take care of that. That's what it's all about. So, if you know, I knew somebody would have a little negative thing to say about it, but it's okay. Anyhow, continuing. You can support us as well as a Patreon. politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Alternatively, you can support us with PayPal. politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. PayPal is actually one of the best ways to support us because you can either do a one-time or you can go ahead and do a monthly. Many of you have started doing that small monthly contribution, and I thank you so kindly for that. Alternatively, please go ahead and visit our store, politicsdoneright.com/store, politicsdoneright.com/store. You can also go ahead and get our books at politicsdoneright.com/books, politicsdoneright.com/books. Guess what? If you want to find out all the different manners in which you can support us, that is politicsdoneright.com/support, politicsdoneright.com/support. Okay, let's get on to the real business and not to the state of whether I'm growing a new beard or whether somebody wants to donate for a razor for Egberto, who's usually very clean shaven. Let's go ahead and get busy. Let me go to the screen and start where I left off, because let me tell you, I lost one of my screens, but since I know that they have a couple of bugs here, I keep two screens with these things running. So I'm trying to find where I left off. I want to tell Melanie, you should have been able to click a bell, and anytime we're on, you get a text, not a text message, but you get a ding dong or something like that to say Egberto is going live or politicsdoneright.com is going live. So I mean, I'm not sure what the issue is there, but we can talk about that offline if you drop me a direct message. Let's see. Peggy Lopez says Magellan Medicaid administration has been hired to take care of the public option for healthcare in California. Even Democrats are actively attempting to keep universal healthcare from reality. You know, I am sure glad that you said that. I am sure glad you said that, because that is what, if you listen to Marlon and what we spoke about, we wanted to make that clear. Let's stop blaming Republicans for everything. There are enough Democrats to effect change if we wanted to. There are too many Democrats that are also on the dole to the plutocracy. The duck that quacks says, now, if Jim Jordan will fall by the wayside into the dinosaur pit, another traitor out. Yes. The duck that quacks says, shaky health insurance, shaky. Lee Grant says, if we had Medicare for all right now, would unvaccinated people be able to get health care? Yes. Medicare for all accounts for everything. It accounts for all the good things about us and the bad things about us. What do I mean by that? A lot of us eat too much sugar. We get fat, we get diabetes, we're covered. A lot of us exercise. We have different fallacies, or not fallacies. We have different evils within us. I mean, you know, that sort of stuff. And having Medicare for all smooths that all out. We teach how to eat well. We teach how to exercise. We teach all of that. All of that is a part of Medicare for all. Education, trying to tell people live a better life, you feel better. But everybody is covered. But in a bifurcated system where a private sector medical company can say, I will only take the healthy people and leave all the rest otherwise, it creates a problem. It creates a problem. Okay. Tom C. says 2021 plus 1, same song, second verse, same as the first. We need a new song. End the filibuster. I'm with you again. Peggy Lopez says again, the GOP turns the country right in all areas, and then the Dems hold the new right until it feels normal. Then the GOP again turns the country further to the right. Come on, 100th left monkey. Peggy, That is the statement of the day, because you understand how it works. The Doug That Quack says, para ver, restore the original filibuster or dump it all together. I say dump it all together. Lee Grant, Michael Rudden to Lee Grant, what part of Medicare for All don't you get? Yes, everyone would be able to get health care. Todos, toditos, todon. Carl Cox says, Democratic politicians like Manchin is concerned that earning more money for special interests. Democrats like Manchin, along with the Republicans, believe God loves the mega rich only. I agree that that's their psyche. The supply chain, E2247 says, the supply chain will continue in 2022, thereby also feeling goods and services becoming more expensive. No. We gotta work on that though. We gotta work on that. E2247, gotta work on that. Linda Curtis, welcome aboard, my friend. Linda, I haven't heard from you in a while. Don't we have a few things to discuss, my dear, beautiful friend? There's also issues y'all can agree on having to do with economic fairness when it comes to candidates and parties. People get in their corners, and we need to get out of our corners and get into each other's corners. That is how we make a change. Let's see, E2247 says, Hill Democrats are already working on how to structure life and political will after Pelosi is no longer speaker. They need to. Sherry Sexton Ledo says, unless the government decides to use healthcare as a weapon and do something like ration. No, that's not true. We are the government. You see, the way people were hoodwinked is first bifurcate we the people from the government. If we can get you to think of the government as some other entity and not something you all control, then we can look at that government as something that wants to do us harm. The only ones that will do us harm are those who profit from us. The only folks that profit from us in our entire economy is not government. Government is us. It's the private sector who has to take a piece of every action. Am I against that? I'm not against the pizza shop holder, the grocery store holder, but I'm against the corporate guy who just sells stocks and people just make money off of stocks. The reason why the corporatocracy works so hard is because they fear what happens if we got an honest economy. An honest economy means you will never get billionaires. You could not get billionaires. There's not one person on this planet that has worked enough to be a billionaire. None. Niet. Nadie. Every billionaire has depended on taking the work, the labor, the intellect of somebody else or of a whole lot of people. And that's why we have the transfer of wealth. And the thing that we have to do is to teach this. We have to deprogram people from believing that there's something innate in Jeff Bezos in that's so much better than everybody else. It's not. Jeff Bezos couldn't tell you how that all the pieces of that rocket works. He could not. First of all, that was developed by your money decades ago. And then he goes ahead and adds to the knowledge with other people's intellect. Let's get it right, folks. Let's get it right. The Lewis Act. Let me see if I've caught up on my other screen. I'm kind of tired stretching my neck here, but let's see. Yvette Avery Herod, welcome aboard. Yvette, great to see you along. I think I've seen you in this other screen as well, so maybe I've caught up. Yes, I have. Okay, Peggy Lopez, Tom C. I got to Tom C. Lee Grant, I got to Lee Grant. Reddit Temp says slaves existed back in biblical times, but you don't see Christians thinking about reparations. You missed the point completely. Completely. Slaves have always existed, but there was never the kind of slavery that we're talking about. The chattel slavery that occurred in America in the form in which it occurred in America. And living within the same society with one group of people who built their asset base. And I'm not even talking about most white people, because most white people are also, that is the other part that I was talking to Marlon Weems about, what I call antiseptic slavery. It's important because what the plutocrats have learned to do is they have learned how to enslave more than just one group in an antiseptic manner that you don't even know you are. Bezos' billions came from his slaves. All those people that made that much more for him to be able to take more than his fair share. He's not worth $100 and something billion. Nobody is. It's the way the economic system was designed for them. That's all it is. Nobody is worth it. But we have it instilled in our minds somehow that they are. And we gotta get rid of that. Carl Cox, welcome aboard. The Duck That Quacks, welcome aboard. Carl Cox says, Democratic politicians like Manchin, I read that one already. Let's keep going. Linda Curtis, I spoke to you as well. Preemptive surrender by Hill Democrats. It's not preemptive surrender, it's paid surrender. Let's get our terms right, my dear brothers and sisters. It's paid surrender. These people, many of them surrender because they know after losing their election, they will be paid just fine. That's what it's all about. Michael to Cherie, right now there are a lot of hospitals overwhelmed with COVID cases. If rationing happens, it won't be by the government mandate, it'll be by triage care. Look, most rationing is done by the private sector. When you are a part of a team, whatever the plan called, the managed plan, HMO or PPO, right? That is rationing. But you see, when government does certain things, we call it, they give it a negative name. When private sector do certain things, they call it efficiency, right? PPOs and HMOs ration. That's what they do. They ration doctors, they ration drugs, they ration all these things, but they don't call it rationing. They call it, we create a plan where you are all a part of that plan. Go outside of that plan, we take you to the limits. Try to get another drug. No, we're rationing that drug. You're not getting that drug. You have to use this drug. That is the private sector that is actually effecting rationing on the American people. But you see, it's all about, and Republicans know to play the game better than anybody else, right? And conservative Democrats. They use all these words that mean nothing. The government don't ration. The government can pay as much as they want, they are willing to tax the pilferers for. The government can. All right. Let's continue. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. ABQ says, ready temp? No, that's an answer. Let me continue. The heart of America is more concerned with why the DOJ sided with Dems during 2020 election. The DOJ didn't side with anybody. But there's an article in the New York Times that if I have, oh wow, I'm almost done with time. I can't do it. Carl Cox, too many don't do what's in the best interest of the American people. However, with the exception of Cinnamon and Manchin, they will do things to help all Americans. GOP serve their, well, I agree with you. How about November 2022? If Democrats go ahead and get progressives in the primaries to beat out all those conservative Democrats, we'll have a big 2022 surprise, and it's going to turn this country around. But we have to work for it. It's not going to be given to us. We got to take it. We got to take it, and we have to be prepared to take it. Let's see what else we have. Canadian tar sands oil is the worst and dirtiest on the planet. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. I'm not going to argue about that. And there it is. Lado wants to give me $5. You can look. Give the show $5. Don't try to allocate what it's for. You want to give the show $5? Give the show $5. You're here every day. I love to listen to what everybody has to say. Let's see what else we have here. Carl Cox says gas prices because OPEC wants prices to rise because they want Trump. I'm going to do that other article tomorrow because it's a very important article. Linda Curtis says the most effective coalitions are those that bring together groups with dissimilar, even opposing views on many issues. They are built not among friends but among adversaries. But not only that, Linda. The funny thing about it is we agree on so much more than we disagree on. I mean conservatives and liberals alike agree on more than we disagree on. Tom C. said, Egberto, like the unshaved. The look, they haven't shaved today either. Yeah. You know, but yeah, I appreciate that. You know, there's some people that always want to bring try to get you with a negative comment. I flourish on those. They give me energy. I flourish in those. So thank you again, Lado. Appreciate it, brother. Let's see. The Duck That Quack says, I love vote by mail. I haven't missed one. I love it too. Peggy Lopez says, sorry, hit the wrong key. I haven't shaved since I was 13. So I pay no attention to others' body here. I love you, girl. Love you, girl. All right, let's see. So Egberto is saying that we all have to pay for the health care of everybody who make terrible health decisions their whole life. Most people make terrible decisions. Ledo, you are supporting energy companies that are killing most Americans. And we're going to pay your health care too. You are doing things that are killing yourself. You smoke. You smoke a ton. Every time we see you on our program, you're smoking. And I am willing to pay your bills if we get Medicare for all. Yes, sir. That is a fact. Norman says, in spite of each setback we progressives have, we need to continue to do the work of being driven to do whatever we can, the lives of ourselves and our fellow human beings the best possible. This is no time like there's no time like the present to put your effort in. Even though the current Democratic seat holders have let us down, Obamacare would not have happened without the work from others have done from 1980 to 2010. It would not stay without McCain's thumb. Exactly, brother. Let's see what else we got here. Case you need a citation. More than 2,000 physicians back single-payer healthcare system that would save taxpayers. My sister does as well. She's a physician. Who does? Eric Hayes, Egberto, is it not you to choose who is wealthy? That is for the market to decide. Who the hell is the market? What market are you talking about? The mythical market created by the plutocrats who use it to get rich? Come on. Understand economics, Eric, please. That's what I'm trying to teach many who don't already do it. In other words, I am the thief. I create a system that built within it steals from you. And that market system that steals from you, you're telling me to let that market system designed to steal from me decide who needs to be wealthy. Do you see this? Do you see where that takes you? My God, the indoctrination is difficult. Lee Grant says it's folks know the government is going to take them if they get sick. The government is you. You decide if you're going to take your brother and sister in when they get sick. The government is we, the people of the United States, in order to create a better union. I am from another country. I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen. I love America, and I love what it really is supposed to represent. We, the people, are the government. Oh my God, that's not very difficult, is it? Not at all, not at all, not at all. Melanie Keenan, Melanie, love you, girl. Carl Cox, the wealthy make mistakes and don't lose out, their workers do. Exactly. I could tell you a story that happened at rehab today with my daughter. I don't have the time because we're 1 minute overdue. I just have to say one more time, I ask you so kindly to keep us alive. Please support us by going to our PayPal and helping us out, making sure that we are funded. politicsdoneright.com/PayPal, politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can support us on YouTube by clicking join and becoming a part of our PDR posse, or going ahead and going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. I have to do this every show, folks, because we have to keep people, all the new people that are coming in, some of the new people that are re-upping, remembering that the contributing is a constant thing that we need to keep this stuff going. politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Like I put, for everybody who sends and support, I always say, we make sure and we are frugal with everything that you provide to Politics Done Right. And you can see it with our setup. We make sure and do it that way. My name is Egberto. Oh, let me give you the catch-all support. The catch-all support is at politicsdoneright.com/support. Run, you're abandoning us, but this time you stayed the whole time. Love you, brother. Thank you for what you bring. Actually, thank you for what all of you bring. All of you. Left, right, center, middle, everything. I love what you do. You make this stuff worth talking about. And by the way, even those that disagree with me, you allow others that are silent to learn. The catch-all is at support. My name is Egberto Willies, and guess what, folks? You know how I am going to end this, babe. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics.